Hey everybody, it's Professor Malat. It is week 11. That means we are in the last segment of the semester. I wanted to take a few minutes to apologize, first of all, for not having this video up sooner. Spring break was a little rough for me. I had some family things going on, and I didn't have an opportunity to sit down, focus, and get this video recorded like I was planning to back when I created the course over the winter break. That being said, I have done this before. I just wanted to re-record the video so that you understand what is expected for the upcoming final project for this class. So here we are in the week 11 module, and you'll see here that it says watch this Recast Project overview video that I'm recording right now. There are a few things, even though the materials are fairly self-explanatory on the overview page, and with the examples, I still want to record this and walk you through it so that you really understand what the goal of this project is. So at this point, you have written a draft of your research argument, and hopefully after you watch this video, you will have gotten some feedback either from me or from a peer reviewer, making sure that you're on track with your argumentative essay, that your research has been well done and well incorporated, and then you get to revise that draft that you've written and move on, right? So we get this big research project out of the way, and hopefully this final project is a little more interesting and a little bit more fun. It'll allow you some flexibility in being creative in recasting or providing your research in a different genre. So here we are on the Recast Project overview page, and you'll see that it is intended for you to take your research argument paper and put it into a different medium or a different genre, tailored to a different audience with a different purpose and a different context. So you're thinking differently about the thing that you argued about, right? The issue that you were arguing in your research paper, and you're going to present that information in a different way to most likely a less formal audience. So here are some notes about the purpose of this assignment. Of course, you can read these all yourself, but I will read through them. It's asking you to reconsider the purpose, goals, and focus of your research argument. It builds on what you've learned about rhetorical concepts like genre, audience, and context from the earlier things that you've written in the class. And because you need to repurpose your research argument in a new medium and for a different audience, you will have an opportunity to refocus your research and consider some of the challenges that come with presenting your message in a new format, right? This assignment prepares you to do the kinds of thinking and writing that are required to successfully communicate a message to various discourse communities. So we've talked a little bit, I think, about discourse communities and how you as students are learning to navigate different ways of communicating and writing and using language in a different way. So discourse communities can be formal, informal, familiar, unfamiliar, academic, and non-academic. So in this sense, your recast is going to be more for a non-academic, probably a more familiar audience, and with a more informal tone. So hopefully it will be a little bit more fun for you. I saved this as the last thing for you to do other than the reflection assignment that comes during finals week, so that hopefully as you're preparing for finals in other classes, you get to do something that's a little bit more easy. I mean, it's not that it's an unchallenging assignment, but this should be a little bit easier because you've already tackled the information in your research argument. So some of the specifics here, you are going to kind of take a multimodal approach. You're not writing another essay, right? So some of these options could include doing a magazine or a journal article, maybe an e-zine, expressive writing. If you are a creative writer, maybe you could recast your topic as fiction or poetry series, a chapbook, something like that, maybe even like a creative nonfiction piece. You know, if that's your thing, I say go for it. You could have a musical composition if you're into rapping or any other type of music that involves both music and words. That would be awesome. I am a musician, so I love any kind of creative approach to these recast projects. You could consider doing video interviews. Maybe make a short movie or a documentary if you're a film student and that's your bent, or you like to do TikTok type things, maybe a little bit longer. You could set out a script for yourself, create a video or create a documentary that tackles some of the issues that you argued in your research paper. You could do something like a letter writing campaign, a social media page or a campaign, a website, a blog or a blog, audio journal, a story or an essay. You could do a piece of art or a comic strip. A piece of art, that's kind of, as we talk about these more creative aspects, such as music composition and visual art, there has to be a little bit more explanation that goes along with that recast project, but it's not out of the question to use this kind of an approach. If you are an education major, gosh, I cannot speak today. If you're an education major, maybe you could consider creating a teaching unit or a lesson plan that centers on the thing that you argued about in your research paper. Come up with a meme concept. Create a podcast, maybe even a speech presentation with visual aids. So think of something like a PowerPoint or a Prezi presentation using voiceover, or even creating a Zoom. If you are familiar with using Zoom to record videos, you could do maybe like a Zoom talk where you have a presentation where you're sharing your screen, similar to what I'm doing right now. You could even think about a brochure or a poster similar to some of those public service ads that you've seen in the Writer's Loop in one of those chapters that we read. So as you can see here, there are a lot of options. There's a lot of flexibility, and I am encouraging you to take a creative approach to something that is usually very serious, dry, academic, right? Make it interesting, make it accessible for people who aren't quite as familiar with your topic as you are, right? So it's going to be broken down into some smaller segments. First, you will have a formal recast plan where you think about it and you go through a rationale in which you reflect upon the choices that went into your recast and discuss the way your argument has grown or changed in light of these topics. So in the rationale, you're going to explore your project's purpose, the form, that is your chosen medium or genre, the audience that you're hoping to reach, and the rhetorical choices that you intend to make in creating your recast. So in other words, your rationale should make an argument about your project's purpose and effectiveness. I want you to sell me on it, essentially. The formatting guidelines are 2 to 3 pages, roughly double-spaced 12-point font. Again, this can be a little bit less formal assignment. I will click on the link here so that you can actually see the assignment page. We do have a bit of a rubric that shows you the things that I'm looking for as I go about grading. Again, it's worth 10 points, but you want to talk about your project's purpose, what your project is, what your project's purpose is, the form that you've chosen, the audience that you're hoping to reach, and any rhetorical choices that you're thinking about while you make your recast project. So that is the final recast plans. Then the next one will be a peer review draft, and that will be due the second Sunday in April. It's hard to believe that March is like more than halfway done. That will be your peer review draft. This is a little different than the peer review drafts that we've been doing so far in the course. Again, we talk about the recast options here. So for the submission you want to have a working title, a brief description of your previous research project, just a couple of sentences on that, and then for some context for whoever might be looking at your project, a brief summary of your rationale or explanation of the project. That just will give us some context. You can upload that as a separate document, or it can be written as a text box entry. And depending on what genre or what medium you choose, you could also include a link to your project if you are hosting it on an outside platform. You want to provide a link, or you can upload a document or a media file so that the person who's reviewing you has access to your work in progress. As I said, this is a bit more informal, so you're just kind of looking through, not for any nuts and bolts and making sure that something was done correctly, but more to have an extra set of eyes to report on any bugs that could be encountered while reviewing the project. This is really important for those of you who might choose to host something outside of Canvas and not upload a document or something like that. Sometimes it's good to have somebody else check that the links are actually working, because sometimes, you know, it might work for you because you have access to it, but then it might not work for somebody else because you have to grant access or something like that. So that's always a good thing to look through. And we'll be working more on this, how to do these things, how to work with different medium and how to work in different genres. We'll be doing that throughout the upcoming weeks. So hopefully that makes sense to you as well. That was the peer review. And then you will have a peer response, as I said, that's connected. You will just have somebody assigned to you, and you can just respond after you've taken a look at the review draft. And then we have the final recast project, which is due Sunday, April 20th. I don't think April 20th is a Sunday. I think it is whatever the last day of the semester happens to fall on. It might be a Friday. Let me make sure. I don't think April 20th is a Sunday. So, April 20th is a Thursday. So I will correct that. When you look at this yourself, you will actually see the correct day of the week that it's due. Thursday, April 20th is the last day of classes for the spring semester. We don't have a final in this class, so if you need some extra time, just reach out to me. I'm happy to give it to you. But we do have a final reflective essay that's due during finals week. So just be aware of that. Hopefully this makes sense to you. If you need any clarification on any aspect of the recast project, please feel free to contact me. We can do a Zoom if you need to walk through it again, or you know, if we can solve it through email like we usually do, we can do it that way as well. But I just wanted to touch on this. Hopefully this hasn't been too long of a video explaining something that you probably could have figured out just by reading. But for those of you who like to watch videos, you know, I just felt it would be a good thing for me to explain it so you are sure what you need to do for this final project. Okay? I want you to have fun with these. I've really enjoyed the submissions that I've gotten in the past from students, and I think it's an enjoyable way to think about research in a different way. So we'll talk more about the nuts and bolts of the project itself as we go further on into this final section of the semester. Okay, take care, everybody, and good luck.